Pushing India's outreach to the Gulf, Foreign Minister Jaishankar began a 3-day visit to UAE to further enhance India's competitive strategic partnership with the influential Gulf nation. This will be Jaishankar's 11th visit to the nation since 2019 and comes weeks after the UAE Crown Prince visited New Delhi. During Jaishankar's trip, the two sides are also expected to review the situation in Gaza following the coming into force of the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. I'm joined by my colleague Mohammad Ghazali for more on this story. Ghazali, what will be the focus of the visit of Mr. Jaishankar?
See, right now the ultimate focus which appears to be during this trip would be the current ongoing situation in Middle East, particularly the ceasefire which has been achieved between Israel and Hamas in Gaza Strip, and the humanitarian situation there, because India is also one of the stakeholders which has been providing constant aid to not just Gaza Strip or people in Gaza Strip, but it also has been providing aid to people in Lebanon, with whom Israel had a ceasefire as well. So it appears now that in this particular situation, India will try to have an update on the ongoing situation in Gaza, because the stakeholders there are also discussing that how Gaza should be rebuilt. Mr. Trump has given a very, what the Arab leaders are calling a very outrageous plan, because Mr. Trump was quoted saying that perhaps he wants the residents of Gaza to either be shifted to Egypt or Jordan or any other Middle Eastern country. Indonesia was also under discussion, which the Arab countries have sort of rejected the plan. So Dr. Jaishankar being there will certainly be made aware of, or he will try to get to know things about the updated situation in Gaza. Besides that, UAE also happens to be one of our key partners in Middle East. It is also one of our largest trading partner. And more importantly, the IMEC corridor, the India, Middle East, Europe corridor, European corridor, which was an ambitious plan conceptualized during the G20 when it was held in India. UAE happens to be the first stop or first leg of that entire project, but it all came to a halt after October 7, 2023, when the war broke out between Hamas and Israel. And now perhaps since the ceasefire has been achieved in that region, India will also try to discuss that with UAE, because both are stakeholders of that project. That project has to start from India. India will also be involved in laying the largest rail network in that desert region in the Arab region there, and UAE being one of the first leg of the project. So all these developments are connected to each other, and that is what perhaps will be discussed when Dr. Jaishankar will be there for the next 3 days in UAE.
Right. Thank you very much, Ghazali, for getting us all those details. At this hour, I'm also joined by Dr. Shubhda Chaudhary, founder of Middle East Insights platform. Dr. Chaudhary, this is Jaishankar's 11th visit. Why is India constantly reaching out to the Middle East?
India has to reach out to the Middle East, most of the countries. In fact, in UAE, we have 3.5 million diaspora, massive amount of remittance. At the same time, I agree with Ghazali sir in respect to IMEC, but I2U2 and the emancipation of Abraham Accords are also in the line in terms of how Trump is going to further create financial, economic, social cohesion within the Middle East for Israel in the coming days. It is supposedly in talks that Trump will meet Benjamin Netanyahu, in the mid of February. Defense Secretary of US Pete Hegseth, he was the first call that he made after being sworn in was to Netanyahu. Now turning to why it is important for India. UAE is a partner for IMEC, but UAE is also a partner in the BRI. So from Middle East and the Indo-Pacific, India has to play a very, very delicate balance of maintaining the status quo, but at least at the same time having a dehyphenated approach towards its own foreign policy. Dr. Jaishankar, in his recent visit in Spain, mentioned that there are very few countries, which I completely agree with. There are very few countries in the world that can actually talk with both Iran and Israel, or talk with both Russia and Ukraine. That brings India to a very unique platform. At the same time, UAE is very dependent on us in terms of food security.
Right. How will the regional stability impact relationships, and what kind of role is India expected to play in the region?
India, normally it feels as if, that India is an outsider geographically. But if you look at the amount of soldiers that we have lost in UN peacekeeping missions, especially two of them just last month, in total 179 we have lost Indian Army men in UN peacekeeping forces. So that is one primary impact that India can have. India gives massive humanitarian aid to Gaza.
Right.
India is also very strongly, there are 85,000 Indian Jews in Israel. We have investments in the Haifa port. So this makes India at a very, very peculiar place, which China doesn't have as of now. To have a certain kind of reconciliation. Also, it must be understood that when Prime Minister Modi visited UAE in 2015, it was after 34 years when an Indian Prime Minister actually visited UAE. 34
Right.
years. So, our foreign policy in the Gulf is very important. At the same time, we should have a look at Prime Minister Modi went to Kuwait. Now, Kuwait and UAE are having very strong bilateral dialogues. In fact, February 3rd is designated as in Kuwait UAE Day. That is very important if you look at the trail of the visits that we are doing. At the same time, Paytm is also looking to start off in UAE, in Singapore. Recently, we also had 40 Indian women entrepreneurs receiving training in UAE. And Dr. Jaishankar is going to speak at Abu Dhabi at the Raisina Hill Dialogues. There's a massive leverage that India has in terms of the non-aligned, yet a multi-vector approach that we can adopt.
Right.
And
Right.
most of the Middle East countries cannot ignore it anyway.
Right. Thank you very much for getting us all those details. We'll, of course, closely track the region with you.